As a Teal independent, we've seen others as well, targeting moderate Liberals, the Treasurer, one of the more moderate Liberals in the government, potentially a future Prime Minister. Is this where your independent advocacy for climate should be going, and targeting the likes of the Treasurer, or should you target more conservative members of the government who might be against the response that he's articulating today?
Kieran, I don't agree that Mr Frydenberg is a moderate Liberal. In his own parliamentary party, he sits with Mr Morrison's faction of the centre-right. He doesn't sit with the notional moderates. We're defined by our actions, not by our words. Mr Frydenberg, in the 12 years that he has been our member for Kooyong, although Liberals have the ability to do this, has never crossed the floor on a matter of conscience. He's voted to keep refugees offshore. He's voted in favour of a religious discrimination bill which would have targeted the most vulnerable members of our society. If you want action on climate change, you can take action on that. You can cross the floor, you can take action on those things. But this is a man who votes with Barnaby Joyce every time against what is essentially our national interest.
Treasurer, are you being held back by others in your party? You remain a largely popular figure in Kooyong, Victoria. Are you being held back by the views of others in your party?
Well, I feel very privileged to be not only the member for Kooyong and the Treasurer, but also the Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party. And when I joined the Liberal Party, I did so because of its values. Its values supporting the power of the individual as opposed to the collective. Its belief in supporting enterprise and small business, and of course, encouraging and enhancing the family. That is why I joined the Liberal Party. It's why Liberal Party members have represented this seat for so many years since Federation. The point is, I am who I am. But unfortunately, when Monique Ryan was asked about her political background, she concealed the truth. She was asked, did she have a political background? And she said she had none. She said, in fact, she was a small L Liberal. This is somebody who's called Malcolm Turnbull a national disgrace. He's not a small L Liberal, in fact, a former member of the Labor Party. So I'm happy to take fair criticism about the Liberal Party's positions on certain policies, and not everyone in this room will agree with what the Liberal Party has done, particularly over the last 3 very difficult years. But I am who I am. With Monique Ryan, she sought to conceal the fact she was a member of the Labor Party. And even when she left the Labor Party, she was advocating for Labor Party positions on social media for years after. And what I'm worried about, and hopefully what my local community is worried about, is if they do go for a so-called independent, the likelihood of a hung parliament becomes all that more real. And for the big issues that Australia faces, whether they are economic or national security issues, and there are some big national security issues, the difficulty in taking those decisive decisions will just go up more than a notch as a result of having a hung parliament.
Monique Ryan, what do you say to that, that you're a so-called independent or even a fake independent, the Treasurer's called you?
Yeah, I think that's really unfortunate terminology. The reality is that I've always been I've actually been very truthful and very open about who I am. I was a member of the Labor Party for a brief period between 2007 and 2010. I joined the Labor Party because I believed Kevin Rudd when he said he was going to take effective action on climate change. He didn't, and I moved on. Mr Frydenberg knows as well as I do that a long-term member, and in fact the leader of the Liberal Party for a period, Brendan Nelson, was a long-term member of the Labor Party. I am a paediatric neurologist. I'm a scientist. I'm a member of my community. My community chose me because I'm standing at this time on values of integrity and honesty and wanting to represent them on the things that matter. They know who I am and I know who I am, and calling me any number of names is not going to change that.